Hey, what's up? So I was reminded of an old post of mine from 2020, early 2020, about a beta for a game called Disintegration, and I was really excited for it. I love beta. I forgot how impressed I was by it, and I'm gonna read my post for you. Because I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that, man. Yeah, I've seen many, indie games fail or just die due to lack of popularity, and they don't deserve it. So many of them are truly excellent, and they don't hit it big or whatever. Anyways, yeah, I found it. People been where people or someone has been looking at my blog lately, and I have shared like a few older posts randomly lately, and I'm guessing that might be why. But yeah, so I've seen some views on different posts of mine, and I'm like, oh man, that's cool, and I get reminded about a bunch of them. One thing I noticed was like a lot of them are from 2020, and I thought it was really funny because I will always remember 2020 as the year that I tripped and fell down the rabbit holes and died and lost my mind and died. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So it was weird to see like a lot of those posts from 2020, but they're all from earlier 2020. That happened at the end of the year. Anyway, so there's gonna be a little bit of awkwardness when I scroll through my blog post here because the window capture is very funky and weird when I'm trying to read on one window and have it capture a different window. So there will be a little weirdness when I'm gonna read this and stuff. You'll notice the screen go a little wacky. But I wanted to have some gameplay on the screen, so I was sitting here messing with it and having some issues, and it's just being weird. So it's gonna be a little weird, but at least we'll have some gameplay here. But all right, hold on one sec. All right, yeah, funky. All right, here's my post. Disintegration for me is one of those games that before it launches, I wish and hope like crazy it doesn't fail. And I quote fail. I think it's funny because you'll see it all the time. People will say this game's dead, this game failed, whatever, and they still have like an active player base. Like I've seen people, and they have to be trolling. Either they're trolling or they're truly stupid. Because in the past week or few days, whatever, I've seen multiple people, talk about Marvel Rivals as being dead, and I'm like, that game has not dropped below 200,000 players since it first came out. And it's not what, like a week or two or something, but it hasn't dropped below 200,000 players. So people have their complaints and stuff like usual, but people are calling it dead already, and it's just funny, man. Anyways, so fail is also another one that makes me laugh because I'm like, the game didn't fail you, people were just morons. Anyways, sorry, back to my thing here. The game is amazing. It is special. It's not something you've never seen before, but it has enough twists to make it not only familiar, but also new. For any longtime FPS gamer, Disintegration will be easy to jump into and for the most part understand. I've seen some ridiculously noob questions and comments in the Discord channel that make me laugh because I can't help but think this is the first FPS or video game they've ever played in their life. I also can't help but think, parents, please keep your kids off my games. Mine did. Anyways, that's funny to me because I think about that and I'm like, I just mean like start your kids on games meant for kids, so they learn. Also teach them teamwork. So many. Oh my gosh, they got these kids all over all these games. They don't know what teamwork is. They don't know how to work as a team. They have no freaking. They're just a bunch of stupid idiots randomly running around. So that's what I mean by that. Like I'm not saying kids shouldn't play video games. Have them play the games that are right for them, man. Like damn, dude, let us adults have some serious games. Also, part of that is the industry itself too. Like now, you see everything has gone mainstream. It's all trying to get the biggest audience ever. That's why World of Warcraft has been completely dumbed down and turned into trash compared to how it launched. Everything's like that. Everything is now is made for anybody and any audience ever. So it's just a bunch of garbage. Anyways, all right. Continuing on Disintegration, I am truly blown away by how well balanced Disintegration feels in a beta form. I forgot about this. Yeah, not many games have this kind of very noticeable, deep thought and as perfected as possible gameplay while in beta form. The map design was immediately noticeable to me. It was lane, but with enough opportunity to flank. It's one reason I don't like Call of Duty is because it's just left, right, and middle and just camp fest. All right, so give me a second. I gotta scroll down a little bit, so the screen's gonna go a little funky. Should be back up. What's different about Disintegration? All right. Oh, wait, whoops. I scrolled down a little much. The pacing, while some would consider it short, is about an average of 10 minutes per match. Of course, once everybody learns what they're doing, or a team that knows what they're doing versus a team that doesn't, that time will change. The same thing happens with any online game. If you have two fairly decent teams against each other, the match is gonna last, go as long as it can or whatever, depending on things. And then if you have like a good team versus a bad team, those are just, there's no they're just wiped out, completely destroyed. They didn't stand a chance. That match should have never started in the first place. Let's see. As we're all noobs in the beta, the pacing to me feels perfect. Not too long, not too short, generally speaking. Yeah, I forgot about that. I like the pacing in those matches. They were pretty good. What's different about Disintegration is a very small thing that gives it a drastic different feeling. I think that the way I wrote this was terrible, but I didn't feel like going back and updating it. So it is a drastic different feeling, but it's a minor thing, right? Like AI troops that you control. Which actually ended up being bigger than I realized. So far, other than granting different abilities to your ship, it's hard to tell how well the NPCs themselves perform on the field versus other enemies. It's obvious to me that they definitely make an impact on the field, but I can't tell how much damage they do, for example. I just know that while they're alive, they definitely make a difference, but in a way that makes it obvious that as the player, I am far more important and the key to overall gameplay. Yes, I had forgotten about this. I was even watching this little gameplay video. I was trying when I was finding a video to put on, and I forgot about the robots. So it's kind of PvP VE, right? But the PvE part was like you just controlling some NPCs to fight alongside with you. It wasn't like role-playing level up kind of stuff. It wasn't like that. It was just versus while you control some bots. It was pretty cool. So you would also target the bots. You would kill the little soldiers and their little drones and stuff like that, as well as your enemy opponents. It was cool, man. It was cool. I really liked the map design as well. But even with all the NPCs that you controlled and were fighting alongside with you, they were tiny, man. They were like tiny little people. It actually made me think. I forgot about that. I think it was Mech Assault on Xbox. I played the little dude. Everybody would play a mech because that was the normal thing. But I would get in the pilot and I would just run. It was so hard to target because he was so small. That made him fun to play. It was just fun to just go out there and just fly around and hop around. But that's what it made me think of, because how small the bots were in this. Let's see. It has a MOBA type of feeling, only in that very small part where you command bots to either fight other bots or your player enemies. Other than that, there's nothing MOBA about it in the sense of something like League of Legends. I say that specifically as MOBA can mean different things. Yeah, I remember when I found out that Unreal Tournament used to be called a MOBA. And I didn't know that because I wasn't hardcore into Unreal Tournament. I had played Unreal Tournament, many years ago, but I didn't know I wasn't so hardcore into it that I knew the genre. To me, it was just it was a shooter game. That's what I thought of Unreal. But apparently, MOBA was like a normal thing that the community called it and stuff, which makes sense. Was it multiplayer online battle arena, right? But then after League of Legends came, I think it's after League of Legends. I don't know for sure, but MOBA became like an entirely new, different thing to me in my mind. Other than shooter, Anyways, I gotta scroll down a little more here. All right, let's see. While alive, the AI will target any enemy on the field that you command at the press of a single button and key. And I thought that was pretty slick too, because it made it so that it wasn't overly difficult or too complicated to work with the AI. They were just kind of an ability in a way, right? Like it was like a natural part of your gameplay without having to worry about like all this extra things, all these extra commands and stuff. You can also order the crew to defend and attack a specific spot on the map, but they will automatically come to you if you start getting out of range, which I really liked. Also, while alive, they provide you with extra abilities such as grenades, missiles, healing stations, things like that. I'm still not overly familiar with every single loadout. If you know me, I'm always playing that SMG type class. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I always play like the fast assault type. As far as I can tell, Disintegration has filled the spots for any kind of playstyle that exists. As I mentioned before, it's not exactly the same as other FPS games, but it's familiar enough. You can run and gun, snipe, and in between those are the different weapon types based on the ship you choose. The ship is your main weapon, basically. Yeah, because you fly like a ship, and that was your class. And based on the ship you choose, the AI troops that join you have an automatic loadout attached to them. Yeah, so I don't exactly like that. I'm wondering or hoping we might be able to choose our crew loadout separately from the ship loadout. But I do imagine a lot of balancing would be involved in that kind of situation. So it does make sense that the ship you choose has a certain type of AI crew assigned to it. Yeah, so you couldn't, like, your crew is based on your ship. You couldn't just swap out like different crews. That would have been cool, but I could totally see it maybe being a balancing issue. So some people might have chosen a ship just for the specific crew type that they had rather than the abilities of the ship itself. I don't know. It's been too long since I played the game to remember if there was a reason to. There might have been, though. There might have been, like, maybe some of those AI bot dudes were good enough to pick a ship just for them. But I never felt that way. I tried each of the ships and they were all like, I just, my own preference was I would rather just play the ship for the ship, and the AI was secondary, didn't care kind of a thing. But it was cool. It was a cool game mechanic though, for sure. All right, scrolling down. That's gonna make the window be weird. I am deeply impressed by what I have seen in the beta for Disintegration. And just so you know, part of writing the game title so many times in an article was, it's not on my blog, but it was something I was in the habit of for writing for other sites. It's for SEO, it's for the search function to find your article and stuff like that. So that's why you would see, like, you'll see in articles, like, certain, the way it's written, it's specifically for the search engine. I hated that so much. But the title of the game, I was like, all right, that's fine, whatever. All right, anyways. So yeah, I was deeply impressed. Can't help but worry because in the past 10 years or more, I have seen what happens to absolutely incredible indie games, especially when they're multiplayer only. The most amazing games die like they were nothing. Some of the best games the industry has ever seen just died because they didn't get the publicity and player base that they damn well deserved. I'm sure you can think of some right this second. You can probably think of some games that you remember you saw that were like, just looked like the most amazing game to you. You loved it, and it never went anywhere. Maybe not, but I mean, I've seen that. Oh my gosh, so much. I've seen that a lot. I'm always surprised by it. I'm like, dude, that game deserves so much better. It just did. It just deserves it. It didn't have to go huge, but it should have been like popular enough to not just die, right? Like DC Universe Online is crazy to me. I don't know what's going on with like the team behind that keeps it running or whatever. I'm always wondering about it because I'm like, I hope it's just pure passion, but I have no idea. Maybe it just has enough money coming in somehow. The average player base on that game daily is 500 people on Steam. So I imagine it has to, I imagine it would guess that it has at least that same amount on console. I would think more, but I don't know. But anyway, that game is amazing. I still love it. It's, at this point, it's dated. Like, you could tell it's an older game, but it's still a lot of fun. It's really good. I want a part 2. I just want better graphics, newer, stuff and whatever. But yeah, it's a good game. You never hear about it. Nobody talks about it, but it's still alive and going, and has been for a long time, even with a small player base. Just 500 players on Steam alone, and I'm sure there's got to be at least that many on console, I imagine. But it's still like a small player base and the game's still going, and I'm always glad to see that. I'm always glad to see it. It's really cool. All right. Anyways, Disintegration is going to launch with a $50 price tag. That was what actually kept me from buying it right away. It was kind of high for me, especially at the time. Whatever. Mood, but also money. It will have a campaign. I think the campaign ended up not being too great. I think it was like 4 to 5 hours, which is like a Call of Duty type game. And those campaigns are really cool. But yeah, I remember. Excuse me, I remember when I watched like the first hour of gameplay for the campaign. I didn't see it. I don't know. I'm always curious to go back and try to play it because I really did like the game. It was cool, but I never ended up playing it after it launched. by the time I would have picked it up and started playing, it didn't last long. I don't even think it made it a year. I don't even think it lasted a year. It's so sad. It's so sad. From what I've read and seen in their Discord, apparently Halo developers are part of the team. I had no idea of that. I remember seeing the game and thinking it looked super freaking cool, and I was like, yeah, gimme. I'm guessing maybe for some of you out there, knowing that Halo Reach developers worked on this might make you take an extra look, and I sure as heck hope so. Yeah, I forgot about that too, Halo Reach devs. From the very first match I played of Disintegration, I could tell that an incredible and deep amount of not only love, but also testing went into this game before they even made it available to the public. It is ridiculously impressive. It makes perfect sense that there's a team here that has learned a lot from other games they have worked on. This is truly a fun and special game. And I meant all that. Like, I had never played a beta so smooth and good and balanced. Like, I was like, this is already ready to launch. Like, seriously, no, I played that beta and I was like, yeah, this is good to go. Like that, it was so good. It was so polished and just, man, yeah, that was amazing. And then the final thing here, the closed and open betas are very limited time-wise, and if I wasn't so interested in this game, I would not have bothered taking the time to try it during its 2-day closed beta. I'm so glad I did. I've played it almost all day. I forgot about that 2-day beta. One of those days I played it the whole freaking day. I wouldn't get off. The next day I played it for like a few hours, I think. The open beta is January 31st to February 1st on PC and console. It was Xbox One and PS4. Do yourself a favor and give it a try. Play a match if you're like me, you won't want to stop. That said, I'm already kind of bored of the maps, and I feel any multiplayer game needs to launch with a bare minimum of 6 different maps. This beta has 2, and I'm not sure about the launch. And then I also noted the retrieval game mode is amazing. And I read that and I was like, oh yeah! It was so cool. It was so much fun, man. I loved it. I'm going to go over to my, oh, whoops. Let's see, am I on the right? What window am I on? Okay. So I have a couple extra thoughts to go with now. That was my post back in 2020 for just about the beta. That's how impressed I was by it, man. I loved the crap out of it. Yeah, the retrieval game mode. I don't even remember. I just remember it was like an upgraded version of Capture the Flag, or also like it was a hybrid. It was a new version of Capture the Flag, and it reminded me of a game mode in Call of Duty. I think called Uplink. But yeah, it was like Capture the Flag, but a little different, and I really liked it a lot. It was super cool. Yeah, this game was amazing, man. I just really liked it. And there's many games like this that I just thought were really special and good, and they never went anywhere, man. It's just they so deserved better, man. And the map thing that I thought was funny, because it wasn't that I was bored of the maps themselves. I don't. It's like Destiny and I've talked about this before. Like, I like these games; they're a lot of fun, but I don't want to just play the same exact thing over and over and over and over again, right? Not because it's bad, but it's just like it's nice to have some variety. You know, if the game only had 2 maps for a year or 5 years, that would suck ass. Give me a sec. Sorry, I had to cough. So yeah, like the same thing with Anthem, you know, having just 3 strongholds, 3 dungeons to do. Are these matches just going so fast, or what the hell's going on? Why is there like no damn gameplay? My gosh, always in the menu or something. Anyways, so yeah, I really liked this game. I wanted to check. I thought I switched off my post and there was something here. Oh yeah, now I remember. How I mentioned that I almost didn't do the beta because it was only for 2 days, and I have played hundreds of betas over the years. For a long time, it was mostly MMORPGs. After I quit World of Warcraft, I started playing, like, oh my gosh, I played everything that was out there, everything, trying to replace World of Warcraft. Nothing ever did. The closest that came to it was Final Fantasy 14. 11. I preferred 14 over 11. Elder Scrolls Online, Star Wars: The Old Republic, even Rift. I liked Rift. Rift was cool, but nothing ever really replaced it. And I think what it really came down to was I was just sick of the genre, and I didn't realize it. I was sick of that genre. So yeah, it took me a while, but I had played like everything out there trying to replace World of Warcraft and never really did. But anyways, so I've played so many betas, man. But the betas that would come out that were like only 2 days, because it would be weekend long betas. That was the point. Weekends, they knew people were out of school, off work, and whatever, so would do weekend betas to try to get as many players as they could at one time. So that makes sense. But for me, I play so many different games. Like 2 days, I'm like, well, how it depends on how good the game looks. Like, is that a game I really want to go out of my way to play for like a couple hours on the weekend or whatever, you know? But again, like on that one, I played it the whole damn day, then I played a little bit the next day. That was the only 2-day beta I've ever played the most out of. I had played 2-day betas before too. It's not the only one I played. But I didn't jump into every 2-day beta. Like if I saw their date period for a beta was only 2 to 3 days, sometimes I would just pass on it. Be like, I'll wait. I'm gonna wait for the next one, whatever, or wait until it comes out. So, anyways, that's why I wrote that, because I was like, yeah, normally I don't do 2-day betas, but that was one that I was like, damn, jumped all up on and got into. So I mostly just wanted to share it because it was an old post that I came across, and I was like, oh man, I forgot how much I was really impressed by this game. Really impressed, man. I liked the map design because it was fast paced and it was laned, but it had room enough to flank. You weren't trapped in the lanes, right? So unless you were like in the middle of the lane, right? But you could, the flanking, well, that's the thing I hate about Call of Duty, man. Like you can't really flank. There's the only time you can flank is if there's a team wipe and you're just moving around the map, like it's no. So this one was a bit different. I really liked the map design. I liked everything about it. And I know there were complaints. I know balancing, probably people were talking about this and that being overpowered, whatever. And every player is going to experience something differently, notice things differently. And one thing that I know, man, with games like this and Marvel Rivals and Overwatch and any kind of online game, people will complain about certain characters being overpowered, and some of them are in comparison to others generally, but the main thing about any kind of imbalancing in these games has nothing to do with the power of the actual character, and it has to do with teamwork. Players in these games don't know how to play as a team. They're all in it for themselves. That's the freaking problem. That's it's especially why I don't like mainstream garbage when it comes to multiplayer, because those games are intended for a wide audience. They're oversimplified, and I would say Marvel Rivals is one of them. But there is a balance there. There is a balance there. Like, and teamwork is how you do anything. It's the same thing in Rocket League. I only play threes. I only enjoy threes. I could play twos. It's a lot simpler. I'm bored with ones. But the majority of these players, they don't know how to play as a team. I don't know why. It's very strange. My favorite thing about online games is teamwork, man. That's my favorite. It's like, I know I'm not alone here, but apparently everybody else thinks they're alone. It's so strange. Anyways, I don't want to ramble about that. It's just weird to me, man. But that is the one thing I've noticed is like, because yeah, some characters like in 1v1s, right? Like in a game like Marvel Rivals or whatever, in 1v1s, one character is going to be far more powerful than another. But that's the point. It's not a 1v1 game. Switch your damn mentality. If you want to play like a versus thing and there's no teamwork, I don't even know what you would have to play 1v1, right? Like these games are about teamwork, man. Like, so this gets me every time, man. I was trying to find some extra. Okay, oh, yeah. Anyways, yeah. I know even before I started this video, I was thinking about this. I read my post and I was like, oh my gosh, dude, there's so many games I've watched die that were amazing. Another one thing off the top of my head, I always remember it, and I never even played it hardcore. There's a game called the Showdown Effect. It was cool. It was fun. It was really neat. And I remember when I first played that, I was like, oh, this has got to get big. This has got to blow up. It didn't go anywhere, right? And it was a cool game. I never played it hardcore. I was just really impressed by it. It was cool. Yes, damn it. I always have these so many thoughts just related to that, and then I lose them because they're just zoom, zoom, zoom. All these games, man. All these really cool games that die. For me, this, and I remember, I know I wasn't the only one that thought $50 would be a lot for this. And you know what's weird? It's kind of funny because it wouldn't be if it was a big title, right? Like nobody would say like, oh, Diablo 4 is not going to have a lot of players because it's going to be $70 or whatever. Like nobody in their right mind would say that. And because the title by itself is going to sell by itself. So a lot of this happens with indie games. Give me one sec, sorry. Okay. It always happens with indie games where the price is always going to come into play. It makes sense too. I mean, when we talk about the price on games, just generally, me and friends are just gamers and stuff, and a lot of people have pointed out over probably most of my life, is that, you know, the games, it would be nice if games were priced based on their longevity, you know, or the duration of their campaign. Why is a 4 to 10 hour game costing $70? That's just flat out stupid nonsense, man. You know, it's not because the game isn't worth playing or whatever. It's that price is like, come on, man. It would be really nice if games were priced more reasonably based on how much you're going to actually play out of it, you know. But that has never really been the case. Not really. Not as far as like a generally going, like some devs and publishers might decide to do that. I would think it's more of a dev choice than a publisher, because unless the dev is the publisher, as publishers aren't going to do that, right? You know. Anyways, yeah. So that was one thing too. I know I wasn't the only one that thought, you know what, this game launching at $50, probably not going to have like a massive player base. And that was also like well, I don't want to pay $50 to have it die already. And that's the thing. That's how it dies, right? Nobody's playing it because nobody wants to play a game that isn't going to just have a bunch of players right away, you know, right? Makes sense. I can't blame people for that, you know. I often think about this, and I still don't know. I have not thought of like how a game becomes popular other than marketing or a freaking straight fluke, man. Free to play, easy to get a game out there, but free to play doesn't mean your game's going to get popular. It does not mean your game is going to survive, and it doesn't mean your game's going to go anywhere. There are plenty of free to play games out there that die, don't go anywhere at all. And again, some of them are bad, yeah, sure, but there's a lot of great games. Like I'll tell you, dude, like Stampede, I wonder how it's doing on console, because Steam, it has no players as far as if you look at you know, their player thing. Active player count is never showing because there's not enough people actively playing it on Steam. But Stampede, I forget what it's called, some Stampede Racing something. Stampede is a fun free-to-play game, kart racer, really fun game, and it's free to play, but it's nowhere on Steam. Nobody's playing it. Nobody's talking about, you know, right? So I do wonder how it's doing on console. But yeah, so my point is that just going free to play is not like a fix. It doesn't mean anything. Like, yeah, it can help. It can help, but then you gotta look at what kind of free-to-play model you're gonna use. I mean, one thing I always think about when it comes to like the DLCs, microtransactions, and the nonsensical bullcrap excuse that people will say, like, oh, it helps them make money so that they can keep the game going. Like, no, because those prices are ludicrous. Like, they're nonsensical. No, that's just pure greed and insanity. I always think, like, you know, if a game was really good and going because the players are playing it and loving it, then they're gonna want to contribute money to it if they have it, you know. And you shouldn't freaking exploit people. But that's, you know, whatever, man. The masses are stupid. They really are a bunch of freaking zombie consumers, as George Carlin would call them. Consumers. That's so funny, man. But anyways, that's the truth, though. The masses really are stupid. So, whatever, man. And it's not... I always feel like I have to explain myself with that, because I don't think I'm better than everybody and smarter than everybody. But, I mean, we can... If you're not a complete idiot, you can recognize that the masses are morons, okay? Right? You know? Just saying, man. Like, it sucks. Anyways. Yeah, so... Going free to play, not a fix, man. And so I often wonder, especially when I see really excellent games like this just die. A lot of it, I can say, especially after seeing it with Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem. Currently, what the hell is it called? Dragon Age Veilguard. Which I haven't played. I don't know. I don't care. I plan to play that someday when it's on sale, cheaper and stuff. It looks cool to me. Like, the world looks really cool. The combat looks a little too simple, but it looks fun. Looks like my kind of thing. But yeah, I have, of course, have seen the clips, you know, that people are trashing on it. I fully agree. I understand. Yeah, I know those are really stupid. But to just it is just a sheep fest, man. It is. It reminds me, like, do you remember Mass Effect Andromeda? When, like, I don't know if you remember, if you paid attention, like, on social media and stuff, or just anybody would talk about it. Everybody, even on forums, if you read what they wrote, they would talk about the that one clip that had really horrible facial animations and stuff, you know. And I remember thinking too, because, like, The Last of Us has some really ugly, crappy facial animations sometimes, you know, not always, but sometimes it'll get a little weird and wacky, and almost every excellent game has that. I don't know why. It's kind of funny. But they all do that. They all have weird, random, like, wacky ass facial animations and stuff, right? Mass Effect Andromeda was different, and it needed fixing. Like, and it got fixing, right? You know, and I don't think they ended up fully fixing every little thing, but they fixed it up decently. But, you know, it was, when people trashed on that game, it was just that one little thing, every time, and it was everybody just repeating the same exact crap. That's how it is for everything, man. Like, it's just sheeple. It's just stupid zombies regurgitating crap. Oh my gosh, man, it's just dumb and horrible. I didn't mean to get talking about that, but it's the reality of it. It is the reality of it, man. Like, sheeple are sheeple, masses are the masses, you know. So it makes me wonder, like, how do you? I would say, just love your game, man. As the developer, do you enjoy your game? And if it's an online game, you need to be playing your game. You need to play it. If I ever do it, I don't expect to. I've done a little bit of fun little things of making a game. When I made a game, when I worked on, like, these little projects that I did, I made it for myself. I wanted to have fun with it. I made it as a game that I wanted to play. And that doesn't seem to be the thing in the industry, right? You know, they just make games for the masses, right? Like, no, you need to love your game, and you need to also play your game. I've seen so many games, all these bugs and issues that are in them make no damn sense to me, because I know if I were making games, my game would not play like that. It wouldn't be broken, because I'd be playing it to make sure that it didn't do that. You know, I'd be playing my own game to make sure that it plays the way I want it to play, you know, and to feel. I'd be, you know, so I can understand, like, doing betas and testing and have other people test your game out and give you feedback and whatever and find bugs and all that. But you should also be doing that yourself, you know. It's your damn, like, I don't get all these games, man. I'm just like, the developers do not only, this is the impression that I have. Developers not only don't play video games in general, they don't even play video games, but they don't play their own game. And that drives me nuts, man. I'm just like, what the hell? Anyways, I've rambled on far too long. I definitely wanted to share this post because, like, this game was really cool. It was something very special, and there's so many games like this, man, that are unique, special, excellent, finally polished, and finally tuned, and they just die instantly, man. And it's like, oh my gosh, this sucks. How does this keep happening to the best games out there, man? Alright, anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.